So in today's video, we're going to look at this roof aerial. Quite a lot of people say that they lose reception on the radio. And depending on what radio you have, it could be the FM radio or the DAB radio. Some models have the DAB aerial in the rear boot section. I think it's either in the window or just as an extension piece, which we saw previously when we looked at and fixed the coaxial cable in this rear wiring loom. But today we're going to specifically look at this aerial, because sometimes people get leaks around here, water gets in and it corrodes the base. Some people claim that you can actually access the underneath of the aerial by going through the rear interior light. So we're going to test that theory today and see what's actually involved in accessing that aerial on the roof so that you can disconnect it, remove it and put a new one in. So the first thing I want to do is just take some measurements from the point of the aerial to a known location that we can then measure from the inside from the same location to the interior light, so we can see exactly what the distance is of when we're trying to access it from here. If it's over here somewhere, we know it's going to be really difficult. So from those measurements, it seems like it's about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches this way to the center of the aerial base. So whether or not we'll be able to take this out and gain enough access to get to that point, let's find out. And for those of you that have watched some of my videos before, where we did the center console and we had to use the chisel and stuff like that for removing the plastic trim, you'll be pleased to know that I've now been able to invest in some plastic pry bar tools. So let's start by trying to remove this kind of inner section of this interior light. So we just get the pry tool inside there, just pull it forward, and then all we've got, as you can see, just these couple of clips just on each side, and that just pops down. From here, I think we can actually see the aerial cable here, and if I'm lucky I might be able to pull it forward and just find where there's a plug for the connection point. So what we've seen, or what we can see just about inside, is one of those kind of coaxial clips. So I'm guessing, without pulling this forward just yet, what we might find, yep, there we go, we've just got a little clip on there. So we should be able to just disconnect that cable if we were looking to remove it and replace it. So next up, I just want to try and get this surround off. So I'm going to use some of these plastic pry tools again. Looking at it, I'm not sure if it's got some clips each side or whether there's kind of a recess all the way around. But I'll have a go and see how it comes apart. So it actually feels like there's a rear surround that kind of wraps around and kind of clamps either side of the roof liner. So I'm just going to spend a little bit more time just trying to work out how that comes apart. Maybe it's two bits of plastic that are kind of clamped together, shall we say. I don't want to damage anything, so I'll just take my time over this. After looking at it for a while, these kind of clips each side, this one here and this one here, it looks like it kind of hooks over the top of the roof liner. It seems that, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it looks like they're actually plastic welded on there. As we know on the Alfas, there's lots of plastic welding, whether it's the door handles or various other elements. But it looks like it's obviously been put in place and then glued in place. So taking this surround off, I'm not overly confident that I'm going to be able to get it off easily. So I think what we'll do, we'll leave that in situ for now, and then we'll just have a look, see if we can see this bolt up here, a couple of inches back up. So from inside, if I kind of pop the camera up there, pull the liner down a little bit, we can just about see the fixing there. I'm not sure whether the camera will focus with it being this close or not, but you get the gist of kind of where it is and how it's connected. So I can feel it on the end of my finger there. So I'm guessing you would be able to access it just about. It would be quite tricky to get it off. I'm not even sure what size it is, to be fair, but it's going to be a hell of a job to get a tool up there to get it down. So what I'd really like to do is just to see whether or not I can drop some of this roof liner down a little bit, and from the back, whether or not we'll be able to get in a whole lot easier, gain a lot more access and just get in so we can really see what's going on. I think the first thing I'm going to start with is just taking off this rubber seal. Okay, so with that off, what we can see is that we can put it down, but without creasing or maybe folding the roof liner. You know, we're not going to get a lot of flex in there, and obviously the last thing we want is to have a big crease down our nice good condition roof liner, shall we say. But what I can also see from the inside, where we've got these two different plastic sections rather, you've got this one here and kind of this seam here. It looks like you'll be able to take this bit off. Just inside, what you can see is there's more plastic welding. I'm not sure whether or not you can see that, but this basically means that that entire element here, from here to here, I think maybe as it comes around across to here as well, is all one section. So ideally, to allow this roof liner bit to kind of drop down, I think the easiest thing would be to remove this section, remove the same section over here, and then that should give us a bit more flexibility to kind of pull it down and hopefully not get any creases in it. I guess if you weren't worried about creases, you could just pull it down. If you really weren't worried about it, you'd be able to pull it down from in here, I suppose. But I want to be able to show you exactly what it looks like right inside there. So I'm going to persevere and take these bits off. So I've just started by removing 3 screws. There was one Phillips screw in here, there was another one here, and then another one just over there. But what's important to note, these 2 here, this one and the one over there, around the screw, you had this kind of little silver collet or collar, whatever you want to call it. So obviously that's going to act as a spacer, stop it rattling or anything like that. So just make sure if you're taking them out that you don't lose them. And then around at this side of the door, what we can see is where this plastic trim comes along. Obviously you've got the door rubber, which is just kind of holding it in as well. So what I'm going to do is just pull this off again, just as we did the other one, just so that releases that a little bit. And there we go, now we can see the edge of this plastic trim quite nicely, and we've got a bit of flex on it too. So back around the back side of the car, just inside here, you can see kind of that extra line item there, which is obviously there's no fixing on this side, which is about here somewhere. So I'm guessing we're going to have a panel clip in there, and that's going to be the same, maybe a few others around here and there. So I'm just going to try and pry that off. It feels like there's another one down here perhaps as well, and use my new plastic pry tools to get that off. Yeah, that's come away nicely, and we can see that plastic clip insert in there. And the next one I can feel is just over in this corner, so I'll release that one now as well. The next clip that I can see is then just inside here. If I can show you, just about to see that green item there. What it looks like is it actually slides out. See if I can get a bit more focus on that, if I can kind of show you a bit better, hopefully. There we go. You can see it's kind of got that slot that looks like it slides to the side slightly. So I'm guessing the whole panel needs to kind of slide this way a little bit to allow it to kind of slide on that green point. So I'll just have a go, see if it wants to move. If not, see if we can find any more clips anywhere. So it didn't want to move, so I've just found the next clip, and in actual fact it's just another screw. So in this kind of seat belt, or not seat belt, the back seat catch element, you can just pull this piece off, and then we can see we've just got another 4th Phillips screw there. So we'll just take this off, and again you can just about see that silver kind of collar piece just surrounding the screw there. Okay, so with that 4th Phillips screw removed, what we'll try and do now is just see if we can slide the whole panel this way again, just to release that green clip that we saw here. It certainly feels a lot better. It's not wanting to move completely. Okay, well there we go, it did come off. It just took a little persuasion. I think realistically that clip it did come forward, it slid maybe a centimetre or so, something like that, and it just then popped off. By dropping this down nicely, it's given us loads of flex, obviously on the roof liner, to be able to drop down. We'll release the rubber a little bit more here, I think, as well, just so that it can drop down a bit further, and then we'll see whether or not we can actually get enough space to get to that aerial fixing. So with that rubber seal just pulled down a little bit, that's given that flex more in that liner down, and obviously with that peeled off as well, what we can actually see just underneath, I'm not sure whether or not you can make that out, there's actually a couple of clips on the roof liner as well. So what I'm going to try and do is just get the panel removal tool in now, just to unpop those couple of clips. Okay, seems I was being a bit of an idiot there. Obviously you can see the panel clips just underneath here. So there's one there, and obviously the other one that I've got out already. So I'll just pop this other one out over here. Okay, so like that, it has actually given us enough room and availability, flexibility, whatever you want to call it, to actually get into the point where you can see the fixing. It's just up there, you can just about see it. As such, remove the camera, there we go. So you would be able to access it, but what I'm actually doing, by pulling it down like this, is putting a crease just over here in the roof liner. So I'm guessing if I remove this handle, what we'll actually see is the roof liner will drop down a whole lot more, and obviously we can avoid that crease as well. So I'm just going to try and remove that. I think it's only 2 screws, so I'll just do that now. So there's just 2 fixings on these, and they're a T30. So with that handle now removed, obviously these clips removed, the rubber seals removed, let's have a look, see how much more access that wants to give us by pulling this down without creasing things, hopefully. Okay, it's not too bad. It's still creasing over there, kind of on the handle point, and to be fair, by the mid pillar as well, or the B pillar. So without wanting to take that point off because of the airbags, if I just kind of show you a bit more where I'm talking about, there we go. This point here is kind of where being able to pull this down, if I can reach it from here, it's kind of still flexing and creasing slightly. So I think realistically, to get a bit more flex, it'd be easy to take this one off. But I think from here, what you can do, or what I've been able to do, is kind of shove something soft in there, just to kind of give you that bit more flex down, just to hold it in place, something like that. And then what you can obviously see there is the cable for the aerial. And I've been able to get my hand up, and it's a 22mm socket just on the back of it, or there's a 22mm nut on the back of it. So from there, hopefully you can see the fixing. You can see the kind of the cable going into it as well. That's the 22mm fixing there. So you've got this kind of nut that goes around it. So the aerial cable itself doesn't actually come through the middle of it. So you can get that spanner on there, or the socket, shall we say, release that off. I'm guessing this is kind of a clamp. You can see it kind of pinches onto the roof metal there. And then by doing that, that collar would come off. You'd then be able to remove the aerial from above, sort it out, put a new one in, pull the cable in through first. I'm guessing the plug is here somewhere, yep. So there we go. From there you can see where the cable goes in as well. So you just got that little kind of clip point there where you can just push that in, pull it away. Let's see if I can give it a go. Push that point in, slide it out, there we go. Simple as that, just like we know before. We've just got that coaxial fitting in now. And that's where you'll be able to remove the aerial, obviously take it off once you've taken off that 22mm nut at the top. And then once your new one's back in, you can just get your new plug and plug that straight back on. And then with it plugged on, obviously, that should be the job done. And then it's just put everything back together. So I'll stick it all back together now. I think I'm just going to do the reverse of what I did. So I'll remove kind of the wedge that we had up there. I'll get the handle back on, I'll get all these clips and pieces back on, we'll get this light back on, and then we'll just check the radio, make sure that it's working fine. And of course, while we're here, it'd be rude not to clean up the panels as well, just for some of this stuff. So everything's back together, it's all gone together really nicely. All the seals went back on, the handle went on, the back seal went on, parcel shelves all back in, the interior lights back in and working fine. So this just check, make sure, turn the stereo on, perfect reception, no issues there whatsoever. So there we go, another relatively quick how-to today, just to change that roof aerial if yours is corroded and you've lost that radio signal. So if you wanted to do it by going through that interior light, you know, absolutely go for it. But otherwise, yeah, just dropping that roof line out a little bit just by removing them seals and that one little bit of panel in there, not a problem whatsoever really. So for now, hopefully that's been useful, whether you've got the FM or you've got the FM and DAB combined aerial, or maybe you want to upgrade it to a shark fin aerial or something like that as well. You know, you might have found that useful just to know how to get to that point and what's involved, just see inside of things. So remember to hit like down below, please. And if you've not done so already, hit subscribe, come on that play now, hopefully. Like I always say, more subscribers means more videos. So I really appreciate your time for watching it. Thanks very much, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.